And welcome back, everybody, to Aftershock Wrestling Entertainment. Welcome back to the Allcast. I'm your host, Brant Fowler, and we're going to talk about those results from WWE Hell in a Cell. Before we get there, I do want to remind you that you can find other episodes of the Allcast at allpodcast.com. That's awepodcast.com. That will take you to the YouTube channel, or if you want to check out the audio version, allpodcast.com/show will take you to the podcast. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts from. If you'd like to subscribe to the newsletter, you can also do that at allpodcast.com/subscribe, and you'll get a free AEW fan-made comment by Todd Black. And you can follow me across social media at the Allcast. So with all of that done and out of the way, let's talk about Hell in a Cell. So yesterday, I posted my predictions video. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it or listen to it, but I gave my thoughts on WWE Hell in a Cell and the 7 matches that we were presented. I don't think I did very well. I'll be honest with you. I keep talking about the Double or Nothing from AEW prediction video that I did. I got 10 out of 13 correct. This one, I think I got more wrong than I got right. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the matches themselves. And I will say that there were a couple of things I did not know going in. Like, I forgot that this was Mustafa Ali's hometown. That would have swayed my decision on that one. And I didn't know about the Cody Rhodes stuff when I recorded that episode. I don't think any of us did until the kickoff show. So I don't read the dirt sheets and things like that. I don't keep up with that stuff because I don't like to be spoiled. So I didn't know anything in that regard. So let's go through these. Let's talk about these. The show opened up with the Women's Championship. Bianca Belair defending against Asuka and Becky Lynch. This is one of the ones that I actually got right. I said, not necessarily the particulars of it. I said Bianca's going to walk out the champ. And she did. The way that it happened, not how I thought it was going to be. I thought Asuka was going to somehow cost Becky the win and still Bianca would walk out. But in the way that it actually happened was Bianca cost Becky the win. So you're going to further that feud, the Bianca-Becky feud, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. I'm happy with my prediction. And I think this and Cody and Rollins were the 2 matches of the night. And they're the ones that bookended the show. So it was very smart to go with these two to start and end the show, clearly. And these 3 women, they put on one heck of a show. All kinds of reversals, all kinds of double team, then turn on each other kind of moments that you typically see. And for those watching the video version, I just saw that the video kind of blurred out. I apologize for that. I'm still having issues with my connection in this room for some reason. Anyway, all that aside, I thought it was a really solid match, really good match. And all 3 of these are top-notch performers. And you can put them in the ring with each other anytime, any combination of the 3, and they're going to put on an amazing show. So, yeah, this was a great match, and I really enjoyed it. So I got it right, so I'm happy about that because it's one of the very few. All right, I don't remember which order some of these went in, but we'll talk about Bobby Lashley taking on Omos and MVP, which I think came later in the show, if I'm remembering correctly. But I don't remember exactly. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So what I didn't know, obviously, was that Cedric Alexander was going to basically be booted by MVP. It's like, there was already, tension there, and it's like, why are you doing this, Cedric? But it was definitive now. MVP said, Cedric, the Hurt Business is gone forever. You and I, we're never going to be pals, associates, whatever, ever again. Get out of my face. Don't want anything to do with you anymore. Obviously, had I known that going into my predictions, I would have been like, oh, well, Cedric's going to cost MVP the match, right? But I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought Cedric was going to interfere and cost Bobby the match, possibly. So, yeah, that would have swayed my prediction. But nonetheless, I said that Bobby would lose, I think, because he had won the last 2. And I was like, well, he's not going to win again, right? And you want to further this feud, so he's got to have redemption there. But no, because of Cedric's interference Bobby got the drop on Omos and then got the hurt lock on MVP and took the win. So I think this match was as good as it could have been when you have two big muscular dudes. I mean, when one of them isn't one of the agile big men, he's just a big, strong dude in Omos. And there's limited mobility there. I mean, he's very fast. We saw that when he ran outside and threw Bobby through the barricade. So I mean, he's got some skills, but he's still very green, and he doesn't know what to do with himself at times, I think. But I think there's a lot of potential there. But he's not one of these big guys that can really move and fly around like maybe the Undertaker or even Drew McIntyre or somebody like that. He's more like I don't know, like the Big Show was when he got older. Not so much when he was younger, but just not as limited as like the Great Khali or El Gigante or anything like that. But yeah, he's just, you're limited with what you can do with him. I think like, you're not going to be able to pick him up and do a bunch of moves like that. It's going to be power moves, and you got to be a strong dude to do those power moves, or you got to be a high flying dude flying circles around him and just like picking his legs apart. There's not a whole lot you can do against him. It's more like Andre the Giant kind of strength and ominous power. So when you have him going against Bobby, who's a power dude, and his whole game is dominating people by lifting them and throwing them into things and hitting them with high impact moves. Adding MVP to the match added a little bit of layer to that, but MVP is on the other side of his career, right? He's had how many leg surgeries at this point? He's gingerly in the ring. He doesn't spend a whole lot of time in the ring. When he was in there, he's good. He was pulling out some of his old moves. He was doing the I forget what you call it, that move that I hate that nobody does well, where you put your leg across your neck and it's like a neck breaker with your leg. He was started to do that. He did the Masachono boots in the corner really well. So yeah, it added a little bit more to this match than we've been seeing, but still, it's a limited match, and I think they did as well as they possibly could have under those circumstances. So it was a decent match, and I didn't hate it at all. So there you go. But I did not get that prediction correct. Another one I didn't get correct was Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel, which I said that Ezekiel would win to continue this thing and this frustration for Kevin, like he can't even beat this newcomer Ezekiel / Elias. And no, Kevin Owens pulled it off. I mean, this was a pretty good match. It could have been better with these two. I mean, I guess Ezekiel's playing into the, hey, I'm a newcomer, but we all know it's Elias. So he's been there for a while, and he's got some skills, and he's hung with some of the biggest and the baddest. So I think this could have been a stronger match, and it felt like, even though there were a few flurries, like Ezekiel ran the match at the very beginning and then had a few flurries throughout, Kevin Owens just basically schooled him, which I don't get that, right? But yeah, it was a solid match, but it was definitely a mid-show, mid-card kind of, okay, let's get through this, and then later on we'll continue the feud in a better match, right? But it did what it needed to do, right? It's Kevin Owens getting a little justice by beating Ezekiel. Gets to rub it in his face, but he still has no answer. It's like he still is going to be frustrated and mad about this because Ezekiel's going to be like, yeah, I'm new. You beat me. You got one over on me. And it was a definitive win too. I mean, and to his credit, Ezekiel kicked out of the pop-up powerbomb, which used to be Kevin Owens' finisher before he started doing the stunner. So it was an okay match. It was fun. It was fine. But yeah, it could have been stronger for my taste. So that brings us to the mixed 6-person tag match, the Judgment Day versus AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. And I think I got this one wrong as well. So that's 3 in a row that I've gotten wrong now. I believe that I predicted that AJ Styles and crew would win this one, and they did not. The Judgment Day got the better of them. Not by interference, though, by Rhea Ripley standing in between Finn Balor and Edge when he was coming off to do the coup de grace. And so, yeah, that little distraction cost him the match. Edge got the spear and took the pinfall. I thought this was a strong match, though. I think every single person in this match got to show off some of their signature moves, signature style. They had their moments, which is something that you really want in a match like this. You want everybody to be able to showcase and shine a little bit. And often in these kind of matches, you have one person getting beat down and then having to do a hot tag, and then the other two guys or girls come in and pick up the slack, and somebody just gets the short end of the stick, right, on one of the teams, maybe somebody from both teams. But in this case, I think every single person in the match had highlights, and that's the kind of match you want to see with multiple people in it. And so I mean, AJ hit the forearm. Damian Priest hit not the broken arrow, but the I can't think of the name of it, the South of Heaven or whatever it is. Liv almost hit her finisher, but she hit some really cool moves. There was this one point where they did a triple team where Finn threw her into AJ and he leapfrogged her into Rhea, and she did a Hurricane Rana from that, and that was a cool spot. And so I really enjoyed this match too. I want to see more from it. I want to see, I don't know. I want to see Edge and Damian face AJ and Finn in tag matches. I want to see mix it up, have Finn versus Edge, and I don't know, maybe even add some more women to this so it's not just always Liv and Rhea, right? Or you do some other mixed tags, Finn and Liv versus Rhea and Damian or something like that. You could get a lot of ground out of this feud, I think, still. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here, and if they do add more members. There was a tease about Corey Graves on this pay-per-view, on this premium live event, that he was petitioned by Edge to join, and he was like, "This is not the time to talk about my career moves," and that made me that piqued my eyebrow. Right? It was like, okay, where are we going with that? So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Judgment Day. But hopefully they get better, because this whole mission statement thing, it sounds like a weak version of the corporate ministry. And I don't like, I like the team. I like when they're wrestling, but I don't like when they're speaking. It's empty, and it doesn't feel like there's any power. It feels like they're reading from scripts to me, and it just, or they're like winging it or something. It just, I know that was contradictory. Winging it or reading from scripts, two completely different things. But it just doesn't feel like there's not that passion about whatever their message is trying to be. So hopefully they get there. So then we have Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin. And I did say that Madcap would win, I believe. I do believe that I predicted that one. So that was one of the two maybe that I got right. I think I only got 2 out of the 7 right. Also, there were no matches on the kickoff show, which I'm really disappointed in WWE the past couple of premium live events. There's no kickoff show matches. You have an entire roster of people that did nothing. There was one SmackDown match on this entire event, which was Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin, right? So I don't know. There's so many other people you could have done something with on this event, and you could have had 1 or 2 matches on the kickoff show instead of just video packages and talking and things like that. But it is what it is. So Madcap and Happy, I'm kind of over this. I wish they'd move past this now. This was a hardcore match. It was. I don't know what else there is to say about it. Madcap was more serious, more brutal. It was a back and forth for a while. Madcap was on top. Happy was on top. They pulled out weapons. They teased the crowd, who kept chanting for tables, and Happy would not give them the tables, which I loved. I thought that he played the crowd brilliantly. For anybody that doesn't like Baron Corbin, I think he has been gold ever since he kind of shed that lone wolf persona and did whatever they wanted him to do, right? He's one of those guys that just, you can put him somewhere, give him a gimmick, and he runs with it. When he was doing that thing, though, it just did not work. It did not get over for whatever reason. But everything he's done since, whether it's general manager, whether it's King Corbin, whether it's Happy Corbin, he just makes it work. And he plays the crowd to a T. And it's really good. He did the, what was his name? The guy from TNA that used to, Marcus Corvan, is that right? Somebody correct me that might have been his WWE. I don't remember what his name was, but he would do that thing in TNA where he would act like, he would tell everybody to move and he'd act like he was going to throw him into the crowd, and then he would turn around and throw him in the ring. He did that. And I was like, that's brilliant, because nobody does that. And it's such a good heel move. And I thought that was really good. But anyway, Moss got his payback. He crushed the chair on Corbin's throat. He wins. And, who knows what's next for Madcap. I wish they would change his name now, because it doesn't make any sense anymore, though. So, anyway. All right, moving on to another match I got wrong, because I forgot that this was in Mustafa Ali's hometown, and nobody wins in their hometown in WWE. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, crap. He's going to lose. There's no question about it. And he did. But it was a really, really good match. I mean, Mustafa always puts on a great show, but Theory was at the top of his game in this match too. They were going back and forth. They were pulling out every single move in their arsenal. There were so many near falls and so many innovations, and I think these two brought out the best in each other. I honestly do. I loved Mustafa's gear too. It was like Chicago Bulls colors, but then the blue, the light blue around the leg, that's like CM Punk, which got him immediate cheers, because he's representing Chicago in two different ways, and ways the wrestling crowd is very familiar with. So I thought that was cool, and it got him those cheers, which again said, ultimately that he was going to lose. But they played it well, because he did lose clean, but only after a chop block, after a bad landing, and he hurt his leg, and then Theory chop blocked him deep and hard, that he got the win. So it doesn't hurt him to lose this one, because it's like, oh well, he got an injury, so he just took advantage of that. So that makes sense. And also Ali took him to the limit, and you could believe that at any second he would win that title, and that eventually he will. So I think it set up both guys really well, and this was a really solid match, but in a really good match to go into your main event. And there were some comparisons with Theory and John Cena. They're really pushing that hard. Corey, at one point when Theory was on top of Ali, just raining down punches, he said, "That is ruthless aggression." It's like, come on. I mean, he wore a Captain America themed outfit when he came in. It's just like, man, they are just pushing this theme hard, that this guy is going to be the next coming of John Cena. That's what they're going for. So we'll see. But it was a good match. Then we come to our main event, which is the Hell in a Cell match between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Rhodes Rollins 3. We were told earlier in the event, and on the kickoff, obviously, that Cody had been hurt over the weekend. And then it was corrected on the show that no, he had torn a slight tear of his pectoral muscle Monday night. And then as he was working out in preparation for the show, he tore it completely off the bone. And then I was like, oh, well, what are they going to do? And then they immediately said, but he's going to wrestle. And I'm like, what? I mean, I've seen guys with torn pecs. Barbarian once came into WrestleMania, I think, with a torn pectoral muscle, but it was a very small little bruise, like up in this area. And Cody came out, and you could see it. He had his jacket buttoned, and it was like a V. If you haven't seen it yet, it was on this side. No, I don't remember. Yeah, it was on his right side. Yeah, because he's right-handed. He couldn't use his right hand. So yeah, he had a little bit of bruising on the inside of his chest, and it was like, okay, that looks bad, but not terrible. And then they do the introductions and everything. Oh, and I got to mention Seth Rollins coming out in the polka dots. Oh my goodness. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, just the ultimate insult, slap in the face. It's brilliant. This feud is, I mean, it's going to go down in history as one of the greatest feuds. I said that on the prediction show. I really believe that now. And so Cody's standing there, and he finally takes the jacket off, and a hush just falls on the crowd. And it's like, oh my God, how is he going to move? If you have not seen this, and Dave Meltzer was like tweeting, "That's not paint, folks." It clearly was not paint. From here, like all the way down to here, and all on the inside of his bicep, just like this ugly purpley red, it looked bad. It looked painful. I've never had a torn muscle like that, so I don't know what kind of pain that is, but I imagine the way he was working his arm, and obviously, he's selling it even more so than probably it, but it looked like every time he took a bump, it was hard for him to get up, and you could see him telling himself, "Come on, let's go." It was just like, got to get through this. And but I can imagine it would hurt to lift his arm, and at times, it was getting pulled on, it was getting hit. He probably told Seth, just go for it, man. And he got hit across the chest with a belt. I mean, there were some brutal shots to that side of his body that is like, man, this dude is just bulletproof. I mean, this dude is like, wow. He impressed me. I could not be more impressed. It was just insane that he was even out there. I mean, I have 2 bulging discs in my back, and sometimes I, whimper about going up and down the stairs. I couldn't imagine having a freaking muscle torn off my bone and bruising over half my body and taking the kind of bumps and torture that Cody Rhodes did in this match. So obviously, Seth was dominant in a large part of the match, and Cody was fighting from underneath. They played that into the storyline, and they did it well. But Cody, it didn't stop him from pulling out every single thing he could do. He even did the freaking Cody cutter, and with that arm, I think, and landed. And I was like, oh, dude, why would you do that? Yeah, I mean, he tried to pick him up a couple of times, and that wasn't flying. And they were pulling stuff out of the ring. He pulled out a bull rope at one point with the bell, and they just went at it, and it was like this history of the Rhodes family, which was really cool, a really great visual to see that. And I mean, I called Seth Rollins winning this. He'd already lost 2 straight, and maybe that could have been the original plan before his injury, Cody Rhodes' injury, because I think now he's going to have to take some time to heal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll be on Monday Wrestling. Who knows? But if I were him, I'd be taking some time to heal, and they wouldn't want him to lose going out and lose all that momentum. This put him on a whole other level. So he did win. There were some brilliant spots and some great storytelling in this match. I kind of felt it. It's like Seth's pulled out the polka dot belt. Cody pulled out the bull rope. What's going to come next? I'm like, somebody's got to pull out a sledgehammer. It's just got to happen. They referenced the throne that he broke in AEW on Raw, and so it's got to come into play. So Seth brought it into play. He didn't get to use it. Cody tried. He didn't get to use it. Then Seth goes for the pedigree, and Cody reverses it, and finally, he teased this so many times in AEW. He teased it once, I think, in WWE. He hit the pedigree on him, and it did not get the victory. Seth Rollins hit him with the crossroads. He hit Seth with the crossroads, and eventually he got 2 crossroads, I think, and he hit him with a sledgehammer instead of going for the third. Gets the pin, and gets cheered like crazy in the building. I mean, wow, this was one of those memorable Hell in a Cell matches, and just a memorable match, memorable moments throughout it. This was brilliant. This was a phenomenal match and a phenomenal main event. I think in this whole event, you had 3 really good matches, being the first to last and the United States title, and then you had a pretty good match with the 6-person, decent match with Kevin Owens, and then the other 2 matches were okay. So I think all in all, for me, this was a solid premium live event, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it. This was a really solid WWE event that from top to bottom had some really cool spots, really cool moments, and everything moved stories forward. So I was happy with this. I enjoyed my time watching it. I don't know about you, but that Cody Rhodes Seth Rollins match is going to live in my memory for a very long time to come. Man, Cody, all the respect in the world, brother. That was insane. So that's my hot take on Hell in a Cell. I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of Hell in a Cell. What was your favorite match? If it wasn't Cody versus Seth, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'd love to hear why and what you would have liked to see different. But yeah, leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a star rating on iTunes. That really helps the show grow in the rankings on iTunes and just in general across podcast platforms. It really does help. So do that. But again, you can find me at awpodcast.com. That is awepodcast.com. That will take you to the YouTube channel. Or if you want to listen to the audio version, you can go to awpodcast.com/show. You can go to allpodcast.com/subscribe to subscribe to the newsletter, which I don't put out a lot of these. I just, when I have a new episode or something coming up that I really want you to know about, I'll shoot out a quick email and let you know. And you'll get a free AEW fan-made comic book by creator Todd Black for signing up. And of course, you can follow me on social media at the Awcast. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed Hell in a Cell as much as I did. Until next time, keep watching wrestling and stay awesome.